There, it's fixed now. Maybe you guys thought it was tilted. Was it really? Anyways, okay. But this idea that if in this reality, this world, you see the trees behind me, you see nature, right? The concept of a matrix is that there is like a way in which you perceive all of that behind me, how you perceive me sitting here on your screen. And if you really think about it right now, how is the screen, your computer, your phone, or whatever, communicating information, right? I'm sitting here where I am, and you are sitting where you are. Robin, you're in New York City. How is it that that information is even being transferred into your device from my device? It's all through a series of ones and zeros, through a code. And so it's this idea, this matrix, is that everything we have around us is just a series, I guess we could say, of numbers, which to me, this is where Kabbalistic like tradition and stuff around like gematria, the numerical values of things, really is kind of aligned, because it's like, well, everything has a numerical value. Everything has a code to it. And then it's just translated through different means, different ways for us to understand, or how we perceive it based on our own experience. So personally, my view is that this is both literal and metaphorical. That it's like everything, this world was created, it exists, we can touch it. But then how we each interpret what we're seeing, what we're touching, what we're perceiving is so individual based, okay? And well, it's individual based, but then it's oftentimes not, right? And that was kind of the next question I had, is like, is the life I'm living truly mine, or one that was programmed into me? And this is, I think, where we can run into a bit of challenges, because, I'm trying to think of that example. I feel like it's a story where it's like people were seeing, it's like that, what the Emperor's New Clothes, right? If you know that story, so the Emperor or whatever, like backstory, I think he just really liked fashion. And then he wanted something so unique. And someone said, oh, I can make you the best clothes. And this person made him these clothes that were like nothing. The emperor was naked, right? But he was wearing this, and the guy who made it was starting to be like, oh, look how beautiful it looks, the fabric, the da-da-da. And then people around the emperor and his court just wanting to like play along, be on the good side of the emperor, were like, yeah, like it does. And the emperor believes it, and there's this level of delusion and illusion that is going on. But then it's like one person, I don't know who it is like finally like, no, like, dude, you're naked. I think more people even pay this tailor to make them the same type of clothes. They're all naked. So is this life we're truly living our own, or one that's programmed? I guess with that, I'm just wanting to highlight the importance that society, culture, religion, these group mentalities all tie in to how it is that we are living in this reality, in this world. The grass, is it green or is it blue? I think we all, for the most part, have a collective belief that it's green, right? It looks green to me. But what's green, right? Like, to the person who's colorblind, that might be something else. But as society, as people, we all hold on to the same stories. Oh, the emperor's outfit looks beautiful, but he's actually naked. Like, these are the things that I think are important for you if you're starting to walk into a more spiritually balanced way of being. And this might mean that you are, because usually what happens during spiritual awakening, emergence, coming to consciousness or conscious awareness, is that you start to become aware of the things you were told. Like, oh, the grass is green? Like, is it? And when we start to just be in the question of, is that really the case here? Or is there something else possible? Then to me, that's when you start to break out of the matrix. You start to break out of the thing that you've been told is like a truth, and start to see it with your own eyes. Start to see what's maybe underlying it, like that code. And then you also get to step into more empowerment, because you're starting to choose to live life in your own way. It was a child who saw the truth in that story. Thank you, Robin, in the Emperor's story. Oh, hi, Mastermind. I'm not sure if you're here, but it looks like you're part of our Practicus membership. Super cool. Awesome. Thanks for the support. I hope you're enjoying the Explore the Tarot series. Okay, so who benefits from you staying asleep or unaware of this like veil that's on reality, the truth underlying all the things? And this one I was like contemplating this question. It's like, well, you know, personally, I don't really think that there's these ideas of like they, you know, like the Illuminati, there's these people are trying to. What I personally think it is this is about the polarity that exists in our reality, right? God, or God, the universe, however you want to identify that, like limitless light that existed beyond anything we can comprehend, first became manifest in that top sphere of Keter. To me, it's like there had to be something almost in opposition to in order to experience itself. And from my understanding with the like traditional Jewish Kabbalistic tradition, like belief, it's like the vessel was wanting to have this experience of itself, and so there needed to be an opposition, something almost to like push against. To me, this is like could be seen as like the devil, that energy of like something dark compared to light, just so that it could witness itself. So from that lens, can we really say that there's someone or something that benefits from us not being aware? You know, is there an evil organization out there trying to create harm through 5G rays or I don't know, whatever? Maybe. But what's beyond that? What is, you know, again, that in its own way is a belief. It's a veil, an illusion of something that is hiding something. Because if you even think about what the term Illuminati means, it means illuminated. It means light, right? There's this idea of something more. Same with the Luciferian energy, the bright morning star. There is something light, even though we've seen it in a negative perspective. So from that, like, I don't really think that there's someone that's benefiting from us being asleep. You know, I think there could be energy exchanges that happen when we aren't choosing consciousness. Okay, whether you're aware of it or not, we all get choice, right? And when it's almost like we can feed into like the group mind that is then harvesting that like belief system or that illusion when we're not choosing something different, when we're not choosing to be aware, when we're not choosing, dare I say, love, you know, over hate. But everything happens for a reason. So don't beat yourself up. You know, that's a huge thing, I guess, around the awakening process is you start to recognize like, oh my God, I don't believe I used to do that. Oh, such a huge thing with parenting, right? Like, oh my gosh, I don't believe I used to treat my kid like that. Now I'm like a bit more conscious. And, you know, it's easy to like bring shame, guilt, whatever into our lives around that. But it's like, no, just recognizing you are where you are here and now. But I don't think anyone really is benefiting from us, you know, keeping us trapped or held into, like in the Matrix movie, right? They're like those pods. They're waking up because they're being used like batteries. Look how cool it was to have that opposition and then grow into something. So how can you start to shift the mindset of like, I'm like, when I awaken or become more aware, then more power comes into my life. Hi, Golden Lily, I think it was. Nice to see you here. Hello. Okay. The next question. Okay, so do I want to go right into there? Okay, then I may come back to this one. So how have my beliefs been shaped by media, education, religion, and culture? That's something for you maybe just to contemplate for this brief moment here. How have your beliefs, how have your views around your world been shaped by media, education, religion, your culture, your race, right? How many of those things are you still holding on to? And again, not to beat yourself up. This is just for you to contemplate. You might want to journal on that question and just see what shows up, right? Like, I know for a big example I would say is like for women, I know in my world, it's like the concept of beauty. What does that mean, right? From hair to body shape to whatever, how you dress yourself. There's so much that's ingrained into our minds from a young age. And unfortunately, that was the reality in the 90s, 2000s, well, obviously earlier, but we're making these shifts and it's like kind of cool, I think, personally, whatever your views are. I think it's kind of cool that like we get to witness the shift of different generational minds into what's acceptable or not. Then this new generation, compared to like my generation, but more so even my like parents and so on. It's like around transgender issues and views and like lesbian, gay viewpoints, like all these different beliefs that have been held. Now I'm just like really curious to see where it's going to go, because people have a different way of perceiving their reality, of stepping into love, stepping into acceptance, and not holding on to what they were told in these like systems, right? Religion being a huge part with those, right? The culture, what's accepted in media. I saw like Paul the other day, I'm like, isn't it interesting how like more and more shows now have like gay relations, or like there's like all these different, like maybe you have more like non-binary characters or like gender non-conforming characters, like to be honest, for me it's like, whoa, where was this when I was a kid? Like this is so different. It's like, it honestly, sometimes, I'll be honest, like it's so different that I'm like, wait, what? Because my old programming from like religious programming is like, no, that's bad, that's wrong. But it's like, well, no, but like this is where we're going. So how can we like just move through this evolution and check when those beliefs come up? Because it can bring different like physical feelings or emotions or whatever the case might be. And it's important, I personally think, this is how we evolve, because we can't stay in the same beliefs. We're not the same humans. Like we have to be willing to move forward, to check what it is that we hold as truth or not truth, and trust that if it's coming, especially in such a huge range of like a collective swing. That's how like it's not like before it was maybe like one or two people coming out that they were like gay, right? In your close knit group. But now it seems like it's just so much more expanded. It's like really in our like reality. To me, it's like, okay, there's something there. We're shifting, up leveling consciousness. And I know a lot of people would take that and say like, because I know some people who would say this, like, this is what happens before the world ends, or like, look at Rome and look at the, there's someone trying to make everyone seem like more gay than they need to be, or like some stupid thing like that. And it's like, really? That's again going into the us versus them, versus seeing how can everything just be contributing to our evolution. I'm actually glad that all forms of love are being displayed. That's cool. Golden Lily. I'm glad. Yeah. Because I think, I don't know people's sexual orientation, but as a woman of color, a mixed woman of color, I can tell you growing up and seeing only like particular people displayed in certain ways, it definitely is a bit of a like, so people who identify as like non-binary and having no outlet or no way, what's the word, examples, that's really challenging. So it's cool that now there are examples and people that they can like, that we all, are able to, what's the word, have as role models, but I want to say around this is like the idea that, how is it going to like contribute to us? How is it that we're not just hooking onto another belief? Like for me, so my kid's like into all sorts of weird stuff, you guys. Like I say weird because it's like, again, when I was a kid, like what? You were just told to be shut up, be quiet, don't talk about that. That's weird. Now though, I really do attempt to allow the fullest expression without pushing an agenda, because there's some people I think that want to be so or labeled as like, I am so open and okay with anything and everything, that they will literally just like push their kids into stuff. right? And I think that's something to be aware of, because that just goes into the same thing of holding on to a new belief. So we have to be almost unattached. And to me, this is where it goes into some of the next question of what is unattachment, especially when we think about this spiritual balance of our life, this matrix or whatever, and what it means for spirituality. And, you know, like maybe an end goal some people hold in their mind is this idea that we should reach enlightenment, right? That living spiritually means that you are an enlightened being, or that's your end goal. But is it really? I guess, like, is that really? What is enlightenment? The question that came out here was like, is enlightenment the ultimate escape or another layer of illusion? I don't know. I like read Crowley's work, and he's talking constantly about, like, not constantly, but at least the things I've come across, about the different forms of consciousness, like the different levels of consciousness, like up to samadhi and whatever other ones in the like Hindu language. And it seems as though for many people that's kind of like the primary goal, is to reach these states, even if it's just for the minute, which is usually that experience in a meditation of reaching this sort of like high consciousness level. And that's the end goal. That means then you are evolved, that you are this good person. And it's like, to me personally, I think that's just another opportunity for escaping. And it can just become another layer of an illusion, another layer of, you know, entrapment in this whole experience of like a matrix, this whole experience of everything in our world being just veiled by whatever. So if you are someone who is wanting to reach some ecstatic, blissful state, you know, meditating all the time, trying to touch on this thing, which maybe you did touch on once before. And it's like just really the encouragement for you to recognize, how is that bringing balance into your life spiritually and physically, okay? And then this leads into a question of like, how can I tell the difference between the true self and the conditioning? Like, there's almost like a sense of lack and a chasing when you are wanting to obtain a particular way of being spiritually, okay? And it's important that, to me personally, my thought is the spiritual awakening, the spiritual process, waking up to the truth of the reality is about becoming your true self, living your true will, being you in your most authentic self, not without the conditioning, but at least being conscious of the conditioning, okay? Because let's be honest, sometimes you just cannot escape people's views and thoughts. This is not about completely negating them, kicking those ideas out. Like, my kid's about to go to like a Bible camp. And, you know, I'm kind of feeling a little bit like, you know, there are a few reasons why I agreed to it. It's like she's going to be with a friend who I trust and is like a bit older, and to me has a very unique perspective, you know, going to a Christian school, doing all this stuff. Like, to me, I feel comfortable with that. My kid feels comfortable with it. And we talked about how, you know, in life, you're going to come across people who you don't always believe the same things with. How can you handle that in that moment when they're telling you like one way of being is right or wrong, and you maybe have a different view? And so I guess with that, it's like, we got to really be in these situations sometimes, again, that oppressive energy, that polarity energy, the oppressor, the devil, however you want to word it, so that we can have growth in our lives, so we can learn about ourselves, so we can tap more into our trueness. Robin, you say our souls have no gender. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what that looks like. I think we have a balance of masculine and feminine, but who knows what it looks like. I think enlightenment means we are returning to our truth, our remembering. Ooh, I like that a lot. Ooh, and I think I might go into a question that's here about like kind of like past lives or something. We'll see if we get there. Okay. So living spiritually in balance to me means, again, oh, I didn't bring a pen, but that idea of the triangle of fire or spirit pointing upright, which is the spiritual energy, being completely in balance with the spirit of matter, which is the downward facing triangle. And when those two are joined, we get the 6th grade star. That is like the all-encompassing energy. It holds all the energies of the planets when it's laid out on the tree of life. You know, literally all the points around the sphere of Tiferet. That like sense of the higher self being in true will. And it's about recognizing that we need this earth and everything earthly to live as much as we need the spiritual aspects, those unseen aspects. So it's about finding your own way. Maybe it's being vegetarian. Maybe it's only being a carnivore. Like, you know, there's not one right way, one wrong way. It's like they all are existing and they all have their benefits for each individual person, depending on the person. And that's okay. So when I put in like questions and stuff, or like had a conversation with my lovely friend Chat GPT, it put out like a section on like the material and economic slavery is what, I don't know. I think it could be. But like it also is like a bit of a machine that can help us keep this world going when done in an ethical and right way. So something, again, beliefs, you know, you hear conversation about capitalism being bad and some people saying capitalism being good. It's like, well, there's probably truth in both of those things. What would it look like to create value in a soul-aligned way instead of chasing money? That might be a question for you to ask, where, you know, this is a huge part. I know for me, when we talk about that spirit of matter and spirit of, or the triangle of matter, triangle of spirit, that duality of both above and below, that there's something around money and living our life in a way that feels soulfully aligned, and living in this world where it's like, to me personally, the matrix part about money is that we think we need it to live. Like, we were walking today and we've been looking for someone to like mow the lawn because we don't have our lawnmower in our place. It's like way smaller now. So we just keep it somewhere else. And I've been like looking on Marketplace, and like I'm seeing lots of ads everywhere, including this morning when we went for a walk, and it was like 2 teens looking to make some cash, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are trapped in the matrix of money, the matrix of working only for money, or working for like survival and being at this base level existence. And I'm still figuring all that out, but I want to invite you of like, what if this world is beyond what you've been told around money, around finances? If you really think about it, if I were to open my bank account right now, it's all on like the technology. It's just a series of numbers on a page. I don't have any physical money in my hand. Is it, so like at that point, is it real? Like what's going on with that? And from a magical sense, how can you impact or influence that? So like, you know, I'll tell people like, you know how like we've made money the last couple of years, really magic. You know, how did it happen? Magic. And when I say magic, ritual, ceremony, intention setting, visualization, meditating, whatever, because it all works at another base level. Again, codes, like ones and zeros, binary code, an energy, a frequency or vibration is how this stuff is really moving. And why do you think we call it currency, right? Currency, current, money. There's something about electricity, about energy that's tied to it. And when we can see beyond how we've been told it needs to be, that we have to work hard, do whatever, you know, work long hours, breaking out of that stuff's so hard. Like, it's possible, but I'm catching myself now every day, like, oh my gosh, like how, you know? And especially for me, is like, I was like a breadwinner, high money earner, salary, like, that type of professional, to then stepping into whatever this is now. But yeah, anyways, that's all I had to say about that, really. That I guess wanted to come out. So I'm glad I left that little section in there. Okay, what else is there being said? Golden Lily says, I agreed. I think about the money. Cool. And and even if you guys are like, any of you watching, like, I don't know about this doesn't really seem true to me, I just invite you, like, you don't have to agree, right? Like, you just take what I'm saying and put it to like the test, experiment, right? This is kind of like where like the whole concept of like Crowley's work and like the AA, all this stuff is around like the skepticism, like being skeptical, testing things, experimenting, seeing if it really comes into existence. When you do a series of whatever, however long our ritual working was with like this like one particular book, and you finish it, and then all of a sudden there's like a bunch of money. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's results, and then there are sometimes no results. And it's about not just saying, okay, there were no results and I'm done. That's a lie. It's about, okay, what could I have done differently? And continually to try in whatever. So if you're not sure even about like, is this a matrix? Like, what is this girl talking about? How do I know any of this is real? Just start contemplating, asking questions. One question I'm going to just read here at the end, it's kind of like a self-inquiry you can use, is, am I willing to be fully responsible for my own reality creation? Am I willing to be fully responsible for my own reality creation? I think oftentimes many people don't want to believe or wake up to any of this, because then it requires us to be in our personal power, right? It requires us to say we can no longer put ourselves in victim mode and point to other people as the reason why things aren't working for us. It's about our internal world. Okay? So, wherever you are with that. Okay. That was the question. Okay. So I watched this. Okay, let me rephrase. I rewatched a movie I'm pretty sure that I'd watched before, but like, you ever have that where you're watching it and it's like, I didn't really have this as much as I did when I like took acid. And I was watching that like Jupiter Rising movie. I attempted to watch it. I couldn't watch it because like maybe like 10 minutes went by and I was like, I know I've seen this movie. Like, I've seen this movie. Everyone's like, Foley, like, shut up. I'm like, I watched it. Like, I knew it was going to happen, but I'm like, I know I haven't seen this movie, so I had to stop. But I did watch this movie last night called Infinite, which I'm pretty sure I'd seen before. Maybe I was like half asleep or something. But it's about like, or who's his name? Mark Wahlberg. And he plays this guy who like apparently is reincarnated, and there's a bunch of people who are part of this group class known as the Infinites, who are people who have reincarnated and can remember their past lives, and then they can draw upon that information in the present life to like do cool things like kung fu or I don't know, whatever. It was okay. And then of course there's people trying to like the opposition, right? The nihilists, I think they call them, trying to stop them from succeeding, wanting to get out of the cycle of reincarnation. But this question, what is the role in reincarnation? Are we stuck in a soul trap or evolving each lifetime? And I don't really have an answer for that. Like, I would tell you when I was watching that movie and like listening to the like antagonist character talking about just being stuck in the cycle. And I think for him, his experience was that he would be in the womb of the mother before he was coming to be born. He could like remember his past lives, but he was like trapped in this like womb space, not able to move, not able to communicate, like nothing. And how horrible of a feeling that was. And when he was saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, like sometimes like I don't really remember a lot of like my past lives, but I definitely can feel the energy of like fucking boredom of the repetition of life. Like, that's how I would just say, it's like, oh my God. And like people, to me, the matrix is seeing people every day doing the same fucking thing. They get up, they go the same way, they go to work, they drink the same drinks, they like do the same, like whatever, the same thing day in, day out. And, you know, I guess I have a bit of like envy for people who are okay with that. That I would say either are asleep, fully, unaware, unconscious, and, you know, that's okay, whatever. That's their journey. Maybe they'll wake up. Maybe they'll become aware and recognize that they're not living the life they truly desire, something that lights them up, something that they want to do. They're just doing what, like, that keep up with the Joneses, doing what they think they have to do because everyone else is doing it. Or there's people who actually enjoy doing that, and they're like conscious and they're enlightened, even if they're not like walking a overtly spiritual path, but they're like, they're in it, right? And they enjoy it. I have envy for both of those types of people, I guess we could say. And then I also recognize, like, I'm so like grateful that I have this level of awareness that I have, and trust that it's going to continue to evolve the way it needs to. So are we stuck in a soul trap? Are we evolving? I think we are here. We're meant to experience things. We are evolving individually, and we're meant to evolve as a collective. So even if maybe your life isn't one where you feel like you're doing anything, or you're evolving or becoming aware, you just aren't getting it or something, like perhaps that even in itself is like a gift to humanity. Like, you know, like, because someone can witness you and think something or see something or sense something with your energy, and perhaps that shifts them. Like, we're all like interlaced and interconnected with each other. Like, who are we to judge that? Can we tap into our past lives and reincarnation? Yes. Do we need to know everything about that? No. Do you need to chase to know it? No, because you're here now. To me, spiritual balance is about being here now, not thinking back to just the past or not thinking into the future. It's like, you know, we can draw and heal from the past and make informed decisions on our future in the moment for the future, but it's ultimately here in this present moment. Okay. So with that being said, it's okay to feel at times like, ugh, day in, day out's the same. This is boring, or like, what's the point? Everything's meaningless. Like, I think that also is a part of like the evolution, the journey, the waking up to the next level of awareness. At least that's what I tell myself, because I feel like that's what I'm going through. Anywho, are there entities, energies, or forces that benefit from humanity being unconscious? I feel like that's kind of something that I already answered. There are unconscious entities, of course, or like, maybe I think in access consciousness, they'll say something like they're anti-conscious. Like, there's beings that kind of like want to go against it. But to me personally, that's not because it's negative. It's like almost like, well, how can that be a contribution? Everyone here doesn't want to see love, or like whatever. How can that contribute to me showing up more brightly? You know, being an example of love, whatever that might look like. I think we're inevitably going to reach a state of consciousness that will just be the thing that leads us to the next. So dare I say that's enlightenment of all of humanity, which will probably just lead to like a nihilistic experience anyway, where we just start again, right? Like, it's like that wheel, but it's like a spiral where it's like going up like this. And sometimes it looks like we're going backwards, right? Because we're going onto that same like, that same space, but we're at a different like level or whatever, and that level's like infinite. One thing I want to talk about is, well, yeah, like just about being aware of the matrixy, illusionary energy of like spiritual people who are like saying they're spiritual. And I think I need to be careful about talking about this because I'm, maybe a little jaded around it. having spent a lot of time in like spiritual communities or groups, identifying within some of that space, and then just kind of like feeling like, I don't know. And it could just be my own personal beliefs around things too, around if you're spiritual, shouldn't you have money or not, right? Should you be charging a lot of money for spiritual things? Like, is there a value to it? There's ways to kind of counter a lot of those conversations, but I think it's important to recognize that not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that someone says that seems spiritually aligned is aligned for you, and it's important to use your discernment. And that is kind of along those lines of sovereignty, of personal power, of feeling like you're home or coming home to yourself, being aligned soulfully. There's just a lot there that I think we need to all be conscious of. And, it's like when I used to like be into watching lots of things about like cults, and I just find that, again, the group mind, very interesting. Why someone would want to follow someone in a cult, how you could do it. I know you can. Like, obviously people want to feel connected and loved and all sorts of things. But like watching like Jim Jones and the whole Jonestown documentaries, and them interviewing people after like hundreds of people died. They were murdered, right? Because of this guy and his crazy. And yet here are these people after the fact, they've lost loved ones, and they're like, oh, but it was so good. Like, okay. I don't know, whatever their level of awareness is, lack of awareness, it's important for you to use your discernment to recognize what feels true to you, and to note that when you feel out of alignment, that there are practices you can do, whether those are like magic practices, rituals, cleansing, like spiritual cleansing or physical cleansing practices that can help you to come back to yourself and to feel comfortable, to feel safe in your body, in your space, okay? But when you feel out of alignment, oftentimes I think there's like an internal feeling or a knowing of like, just something isn't right. Okay, you might even just be getting signs in the world around you, like the physical world. Again, this is like a bit of a reality simulation. Everything is communicating to us. The animal kingdom, this natural world, to me is like the base, most tangible, manipulated space that spirit can use to speak to us. So, something might be like starting to crawl on me, right? What does that mean? Like, what creature is it? What am I thinking when I notice it? Things like this. The universe is going to speak to you. Birds, all sorts of animals, storms. If you can start to see that all of that happening is no less of a game, I guess, than the beliefs and the things society tells you, then I don't know, I think you're on to some fun. But what is it? Crowley says, like, I'm talking about Crowley a lot today. That's interesting. I think he maybe coined this phrase or whatever, but it's like, see every scenario or whatever situation as a communication of God with your soul. To me, that's magic. To me, that's like recognizing that everything that happens for a reason, and there's something to, 444, 4444, I'm hearing sirens. To me, that's a thing. When I hear sirens, it's like, oh, there's something aligned. But whatever, do what you will. So, some self-inquiry prompts for you. I read the first one already. You might want to write these down in your journal or somewhere in your phone, and spend some time journaling, meditating, contemplating them, whatever. Am I willing to be fully responsible for my own reality creation? Am I willing to be fully responsible for my own reality creation? The next one is, What illusions am I clinging to? What illusions am I clinging to? And then, what part of me fears my own power? What part of me fears my own power? And then this is just another one if you want. I don't know, it's kind of a little nerdy. If I woke up tomorrow and remembered everything, who would I be? If I woke up tomorrow and remembered everything, who would I be? And it just brings me back to that movie with Marky Mark. Isn't that what they call him? And, you know, frick, man, he died then. Did they all die? I should have, obviously I like tuned down to that part of the movie. Fuck me, man. Anyway, but, fuck, they must have all died. I'm just realizing that, like, when did that happen? But then they're like reborn. And you, spoiler. And then, like, the one guy's like alive and he comes, oh, I thought I saw something crawling. That kind of was trippy. But then you see this, like, this one, like, young boy, and he is like an expert at the martial arts. And it's him, and he like, he's given the sword and he remembers, like, instantly, you know, oh, this is who I am. He's got all these lifetimes, all these memories, all these abilities, these skills of who he wants to be. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here now, is like, some of you might feel like you identify as a healer, as a creative, like, individual, as a writer, like, whatever things. It doesn't even have to be like a job doing job, right? It's just a way you want to live life. Like a star seed, like a person that was like linked to souls past, different galactic energies, whatever. You are here now, you're drawing something forward, and it doesn't matter. It's like you get to create that in your own way here now. Oh, I'm not sure how I saw all these different, or missed all these comments, Robin. Well, we don't need money. Money needs us, for we can materialize anything we want without money. Exactly. Money's just like a middle person. And honestly, it's like, oh, oftentimes it's like, oh, I want to go on a trip. People are thinking, I need the money so I can go on a trip. Like, no, just go on the trip. Yes, I am willing to create my own reality, for I am fully aware that I am source, I am sovereign, I am free. I always create my reality. Ooh, I love that. If I woke up tomorrow and remembered everything, who would I be? I would still be God. Creating your reality. Thank you, Robin. Yes. So yes, thank you everyone for being here, for listening. Hope you got to enjoy this lovely outdoor time. It's been so nice. And I'm recognizing I need more time in nature, which can be something to contribute to you. If you're feeling like just not sure, unbalanced, imbalanced, all over the place, maybe get outside. Put your feet on the earth, call to her, whatever that looks like. But yeah, just sending you guys so much love. What's happening? I think there'll be some videos probably released this week. If you haven't already checked out the Explore the Tarot series, the latest one on temperance, you can do that. It's still available to the public until the next one comes out. If you're wanting to play catch up on some of that stuff, you can join the Practicus membership. We're going to have our July like energy work and all that stuff. I'll be sending out more details around the theme of what that looks like for this month of July. And that's also in our Practicus membership. You can join any of the membership. If you like the weekly readings, want a card pulled, some like intuitive guidance for your week, you can hit join and just join the Zellator or any of the tiered memberships. And yeah, excited to be sharing a lot of that with you guys. I'm just kind of wanting to, as I said, go with the flow and not be like so constricted or containing myself into boxes of what I think needs to be. So I appreciate your flexibility with me too. But yeah, always fun. If you are looking for private, like card readings, support on your journey with just, you know, even activating some of the magic around this stuff we talked about today, reach out to me through my website. The link's in the description here. You book a session. I work with people one-on-one, or I have other good little fun things like my books and all that stuff in the description you can check out. Other than that, I will see you guys, I guess, next week when we do card pulls, personal, collective, and tune into, yeah, whatever fun shit wants to come through. So I hope you guys have a great day. And yeah, till next time. Bye.